Hello, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 7. Yeah, they perfect. Episode 7 of the podcast. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Friday, in again today, who will be answering your questions, and we will be going a lot more things. But just before we start, what I would like to say is while he's here as well, it's a massive thank you to everyone that has listened to the very first podcast that we did with him. We've got the most views we've ever had. Of all of our videos on YouTube. We've also think we've got the most downloads and listens on Apple Music, Podbean. I can't remember who else. We're on all of them. If you need to find out where we are, down below in the description of the YouTube video or down below in the description of anywhere that you're watching is the link to any of our social media pages as well. Just before we get started as well, we got a bit of a update / a special announcement. I'm very excited for this because it's something that I get to learn something new, and you guys are going to follow it the same as me. So starting next week, we are going to be doing one pod a week to start off with until it starts, a week on women's football. We are going to be dedicating basically, we want to be dedicating our time to talk about Reading Women's, but we're also going to be talking about the Women's Super League. And then if we can learn more and we actually start learning it, we will be going on the different leagues as well. So we want to be different. We know that the majority of Reading podcasts at the moment just aim at the men's and the former players and the former men. But the women's, I'm hearing, are having their first season at Medeski. I think when the season restarts, I don't think they're at Adams, but they're coming over. So we want to do a lot more to try and promote women's football because I've watched it and I really enjoy it. I don't know much about it, but that's when we're all going to learn it together. But there will be an extra podcast a week starting next week. We're not roughly sure what day it's going to be released. Could be a Wednesday. It could be somewhere around that time. So it's in the middle of, we will be dedicating a podcast a week to start off with to women's football. Then when the season starts, we will be doing a preview to what's coming up on the weekend of the women's football. And we will do the same sort of games as we do for the Reading fixtures. We will try and predict it, try and see who wins it. And then on the day after the game, we will then record ourselves talking about all of the women's football. So yeah, exciting times ahead for us, I think. Doing something a little bit different. I've never done, and I'm really looking forward to it because it's something new to learn. I know Ryan was very excited as well to start learning something new and getting into something as well. So yeah, what do you think of that, Mr. Friday? We're going into women's football.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I haven't seen any podcasts of women's football, to be fair. So no, it sounds really interesting.
So that's what we're going to try and do. I am in talks with someone. I can't say it because I'm going to jinx it, but we are in talks. very, Mr. Friday, I will tell you afterwards. But we are in talks with a player that could come on in the future. And if we do get this person, it's going to be blow it up. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So let's start it off then. How did you find the end of the season of the Premier League for you then?
Yeah. It was a relief. It didn't play well, to be fair. It was the game could have gone either way, but no, they got the job done, and yeah, Jesse Lingard scoring sort of helped catch it off, really. But
I was about to say that's a miracle he scored, I think.
Did you see that? Did you see that bet that someone had?
I know. It was hilarious.
Not to score all season.
You'd be gutted, wouldn't you? It's just typical.
That is absolutely brilliant. So it's going to be next season. Liverpool won the league, so it's the Champions League will be Liverpool, Man City, Man United, and Chelsea. And the Europa League next year is Tottenham,
Arsenal,
Leicester
and Arsenal, because Arsenal won. Did anyone watch the FA Cup final?
No, I have to admit I didn't. I feel terrible that I didn't, but no, I didn't.
So, Ryan, what did you think of the FA Cup final?
See, you'd probably say I'm just saying this now, but I've said since they played Sheffield United in the quarterfinal, I thought Arsenal were going to win it. I'm massively lumped on with like betting wise on Arsenal to win it. But as a neutral, it's a very good game.
Yeah,
I thought it was a really, really entertaining game.
There was a lot of stick towards the referee. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I did see that. That was a shocker.
Understandably so in a couple of situations, but I got to say the Martinez handball got it spot on.
The guy's a legend, so he can't handball out of the area. He's a god. When he glides with the ball, nothing really happens. But I just want to see something, right? Just quickly change. My phone's just gone off with Sky Sports, and I want to see your reaction to this. So apparently, Manchester United are close to agreeing personal terms with Jadon Sancho.
Yes, 70 million up front, apparently.
Oh, so. All right, so next season, your attack's going to be, if Sancho does arrive, Sancho, Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, Daniel James, Bruno Fernandes, Pogba. Name any more that I've probably forgotten.
No, sounds about right.
That's a top 2 attack on its own, isn't it?
Yeah, but you need the players behind them to keep the ball out there. That's the problem. Goal scoring hasn't been a problem for Man United all season. They've always had players that can finish. It's the other end that they've struggled.
Yeah.
Other teams strengthening as well. Like Chelsea are going to be a massive threat, I reckon. Especially if they do get Havertz.
Their attack's going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's also saying Liverpool are very close to signing Thiago. From Bayern Munich as well. So that I think he's the missing link. You've got the Kevin De Bruyne for Man City. Liverpool don't really have that instrumental midfielder, I don't think.
Not since Coutinho went.
No. And Naby Keita's done okay, but he hasn't been the player that they wanted. So question for both of you. I know my choice. On Talk Sport this week, there was a debate. Would you rather finish second in the Premier League or win the FA Cup?
I'll let you go first.
Yeah, win the FA Cup, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
you don't get anything for finishing second.
Because people's argument is if you finish second in the Premier League, you get Champions League. But if you win the FA Cup, you go in the Europa League. But for me, I think FA
it's
Cup...
a trophy, isn't it?
Yeah, and also, if you look at it as well, FA Cup's more, I think, important than the Premier League because of the history. And because of it's FA Cup just brings something different.
The only way, the way I'd ask is, all you've got to say is who came second in the Premier League 3 years ago, and who won the FA Cup 3 years ago. Which one are you going to remember?
Yeah, I completely agree. So, Mr. Friday, this is now your floor. Okay, so you gave us the breaking news this morning. We're recording this on the Monday. This morning about Mr. Osso leaving the club. So I'm not going to ask to name the source or anyone like that. I'm not that horrible. You can tell me later so I can find them. But how did you find out? How did it all sort of go about with that?
I think it's been in the pipeline for a couple of weeks, hasn't it? Obviously, he was out of contract at the end of the season. We knew that he was in talks. I think the club confirmed that he was in talks. But yeah, obviously it's not to be. I think he's been given an offer which clearly he doesn't feel is suitable. I saw there was a lot of people talking on social media saying that he's after more money. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's more to do with the fact that he wants a certain amount of playing time that Reading obviously aren't happy to give him any promises. And he's a young player, and he's obviously decided to try his luck elsewhere.
So he's 22, 23? Is he 23? I think he is. I
will quickly check, but I think he is 23.
So
he's young, isn't he?
I see a lot of debate over Twitter, and I want to get your opinion on this as well. A lot of people were debating on Twitter saying, yes, we needed to sign him because he's an academy graduate, and he did really well for the first 5 games that he come into play. A lot of people were also saying, well, he did it for 5 games, but during the loan spells he's had before, where he's gone, he hasn't really made the cut in League One or League Two. So where do you sort of sit on him? Do you think he will? Is he a player that needs to be playing higher up, or?
No, I think I agree with that. Yeah, like he did do really well when he came into the side, but that's the first time you've ever really seen him show any signs of promise. So I don't think it's the case of if someone like Elise went, then I think that's a different story altogether. But I wouldn't say he's done enough to prove himself yet. He played very well, and yeah, I don't know. He may go on to another championship team and do really well. But I don't think it's not the biggest problem that Reading have at the moment. I think they have problems, far more significant than Gabe Ogier leaving the club.
Mm-hmm.
I just checked. He's 21, but he'll be 22 on the 14th of this month.
Oh, he's 3 days. He's 3 days younger than me, but a few years younger than me as well. At the same time. a few years younger than me. So yeah, and Ryan, what is your feeling about Mr. Osho? I'm turning to Tim Della.
Yeah.
The more I listen to him, the more names I keep getting wrong. So what is your feeling about him leaving as well?
Obviously, you want academy graduates to stay and prove themselves, give themselves a chance in the first team. But it comes down to, would you be happy to be, fourth choice centre-back? Probably not even that. And then a backup.
He would be
backup at right back.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was going to be the backup right back, wouldn't he? More than he would for centre-back.
But would you want to stick around for another year when you could go somewhere else and get first team football? And that's what you need at his age.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you. I get what some Reading fans are saying, but some people are just taking it too far with it. It's like the club is melting. I
think it's the sentimental point, isn't it? I mean, and rightly so. People want, people players that have come through the academy to go on and do well, but it's not always going to happen, unfortunately.
So this was another question that I get asked all the time to ask you, and you've probably and I see this. I think anything that you've tweeted, I think I've seen this question on anything. OVIE Ajaria, is the bloke staying or is he going?
He wants to. He wants to stay. As far as I'm aware, he definitely wants to stay. But I think I said last week that Reading obviously made a certain agreement that they're struggling to fulfil. I believe they are still in talks with Liverpool and trying to sort of conjure up a new deal, so to speak. But whether that will go through or not is anyone's guess at the moment.
So is it the transfer fee that the problem is, or wages, or
purely guesswork? But I'd say both. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think they're going to be asking, because I know some clubs do this, but do you think they're in talks with Liverpool to sort of say, can you pay a percentage of his wages for the end of his contract? Then do you think that's what they're asking?
It's possible. I'd say I'm not sat in the boardroom, so I don't know exactly what they're trying to offer. But yeah, I mean, it is a possibility. I think another thing they could look at is maybe getting him on loan again, until they're in a better position financially to make a permanent offer. That's obviously another option that they could consider. I'm not sure which way they're going to go with this one. Okay,
so if you had to put your money on it, because I know last week you said you would put your money on him not being here, are you sticking with that, or are you going to change? Oh, I'll put you on the spot.
No, last week I was dead set that I just didn't think it would happen because I didn't think they would have the money. But I think the fact that the talks are still ongoing obviously means that Liverpool haven't flat out rejected a possible switch in terms. So if I had to put a bet on it, I think I still would put a bet against it. But I do feel slightly more confident now than I did this time last week.
Right.
The fact that you're still like you're feeling more comfortable, but still a no. You must have really thought there was no chance last week.
No, I really didn't. I think once I'd sort of heard of the financial issues that were going on behind the scenes, I didn't think there was any way, unless they sold, a player or two and got some decent money in. I didn't think there'd be any way that they could, get that move paid off.
Yeah.
So Ryan, with a question for you as well. I'm going to ask you both questions during all of this anyway. So, Ajaria, how are you feeling? Are you confident? We've heard from the man himself what he thinks. Now, how do you feel?
I don't really know, because obviously, like after what Courtney said last week, I really wasn't confident, and again, still not so much. But I've always been that kind of mindset where don't believe it until there's confirmation from the club, and that's, to be honest,
stick with that mindset. Don't listen to me. Just stick with that one.
I never really read too much into things because, like, what's the point in sitting there thinking, oh, come on, I hope it happens. I hope it happens, because you're just going to disappoint yourself.
I do apologise for keep moving away, but there is a wasp that has just got into the room and it is slowly and just fuck off. Go away. Go away. I hate wasps. And it's slowly and crept towards me, so I kept doing this, backing away if you were watching, so I do apologise. So there is a transfer rumour going around. And I really hope this is not true. If you listen to the pod on Friday, there was a question on there. Who is the person between Will come on as a guest, Will Sumner, and he come on as a guest, and we were just getting to know him, and we went through some of the questions, and one of the questions that was asked was, who was the player that was the least liked in the Reading shirt during his time here? And my answer was Chris Martin. And I just saw, and I just saw yesterday or today that we are linked with him. Please tell me.
It's like John Swift with me all over again. Please
tell me this is not true.
No, absolutely. As far as I'm aware, no chance. I can't. I think I'm not privy to what went on at Derby, but I think he turned down a deal, didn't he? I'm assuming that was probably financially related, so I can't see Reading coming in with a bigger offer than what Derby can afford. I mean, how much are they paying Rooney a week? It's 100 grand or something. Really.
Well, there's a lot of talk that they're not actually paying him, isn't it? Because as well and all that. But yeah,
I think their wage bill is fairly high. No, I definitely can't see that happening. He was here before, and wasn't there.
Do you know
what? I mean, I saw one of my. I wouldn't say my favourite memories of him, but a good memory of him was it was a game against Fulham, and the ball went sort of long over the top, and Chris Martin had a 5 or 6 yard head start on Jan Kermigan, and Kermigan got to the ball before him. So yeah, that was the moment for me that I looked at Chris Martin and thought, he's not going to be a success at Reading.
That was something else. So, have you got any more transfer news you want to? So there was that South Africa player, goalkeeper, or someone that and you did. You put the best tweet I think I've seen. He goes, I think it's time for my bed, or I think it's time to go to bed now I've read this. So that's a bit out of the blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I'd never heard of him, nor the team that he plays for. But a quick Google, thankfully, showed that he'd already agreed a deal at a South African club, and good luck to him. I'm sure he's a great player, but he's not coming to Reading anytime soon. I can assure you of that.
Right, before we go on to a little bit something else as well, have you got any other rumours or anything apart from Messi wanting to sign for us? Anything you've heard?
That would be nice. Yeah, Messi, Ronaldo. No, it's all, to be fair, it's all been pretty quiet this week. I think that Reading obviously keeping their cards really close to their chest. I think it's fairly obvious what they want. They need a left back quickly. I think they'll be looking at another striker as well. Whether they'll get one in or not, obviously losing Danny Loader. Obviously, to be fair, didn't play a lot, but I think they'll need another option up front. But then it all depends on the system that Mark Bowen wants to play. We don't know whether he's going to play a front two or a lone forward. If he's going to play a front two, then I think he's definitely going to need to get another striker in.
I'm quite surprised that with a striker, the fact that we've got Mate, Puskas, Zhao, Sam Smith coming back, McNulty coming back.
I think Sam Smith, I like Sam. He's a really great lad, a really nice guy. I just can't see him getting in the team. I haven't seen enough. I could be wrong. He could come back and have a great summer, but I think the conversations I had with Yap Stam and with Paul Clement even, was that he wasn't ready for Championship football. He's a great lad. He's a academy lad, and hope he proved wrong. I can't see him coming and pushing himself straight into the first team. Mark McNulty, again, and to be fair to him, he wasn't given the best sort of chance when he was here. But he didn't look up to scratch. In my opinion, he didn't look like a championship player. I remember actually speaking to Paul Clement, and I was trying to say that Mark Minotti played well, didn't he? And Paul Clement said, yeah, he did all right. And then that sort of just summed it up for me. Like, yeah, I think even he knew that he just wasn't ready for that level. And
so I want to get your take on this as well, because we had this discussion on the pod on Friday about Mark Minotti, and I'm going to give you his stats since he's been at Reading, not before, but since he's been at Reading, the clubs he's gone out and loaned at. So during his time at Reading, he's played 15 times. Okay, so during that 15 times, he's started 4 and come off the bench 9 times, and he's got 1 goal. That also includes cup games as well. He also went on Hibs twice. The combined appearances that he was at Hibs was 25 times during the 2 loan spells, and he got 12 goals. So not a bad ratio.
Not a bad return at all, really.
And then he was at Sunderland between August and January, and I think that he went up to Hibs again. And he played 21 times for them, and 13 of the league games he started, and 2 of them he come off the bench. He only got 5 goals. So in total, he's got in 61 games, he's got 18 goals, which I think we worked it out to be roughly the same amount of goals ratio as Puskas when we did this. So does that give you any sort of, I would say, hope that he could do something, or does that sort of change your mind about him, or what is he missing that Reading is not clicking with Reading yet?
I think it's the speed of the game, to be honest. I think he hasn't played at championship level before. I think there's the difference between the League One and Championship is huge. I mean, any player will tell you, especially someone that's come up, they'll played in both leagues. I mean, I think some people say that the gap between sort of League One and the Championship is perhaps even bigger than the gap between the Championship and the Premier League. So the golfing class is enormous. And yeah, when I watched him, it just seemed that the game sort of passed. The one thing I would say about him is he did link the play really well. I think there were a few games when he played with, I think it was him and Sam Baldock, and they had some of the link up play was really nice. But yeah, it just looked like a step too far for him. And like I said, I mean, they'll look at him in the summer, and who knows, we could be proven wrong. And if we are, then happy days. But no, I can't see it, to be honest. Because
Ryan, you had the opinion of you want him to get quite a few games, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to see him have a chance,
but that's what he needs. If they are gonna give him a chance, then they need to. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said it was 4 starts and 9 appearances off the bench. You're never gonna. No. Do you know what I mean? For a striker, you need to have 10 starts on the bounce.
You need consistency.
Yeah, exactly, and you need time to get up to speed.
So we've got that. So we're going to play a little game now. Okay, this is for both of you. So I've gone through. I will say, if anyone's watching this or listening to this, and the fees are wrong, don't blame me. Blame transfermarket.com. I just copied everything from there. I'm not going to lie.
Most reliable of sources.
Yeah, but they do quite well with knowing some stuff as well. So we're going to start from the 2016-17 season. I'm going to name the player and the price that, according to them, that we paid for them. And I want you guys, or the loan or free or whatever it is, and I want you two to tell me if they were a success or failure during our time. Okay? Both
are they
ready?
Still at the club now?
No. Some are not. If they are at the club, be very careful what you say, because I know that you want to speak to them again. But Ryan, you can say what you want. Right, so let's start. So Thiago Ilori come in for 3.87 million. Success or failure?
I'll let you go first.
I
agree with success.
He did his job, and then they sold him on for a relatively decent transfer fee. So I don't think you could call him a failure. He's a good. I always quite liked him, to be fair. I did. He was a decent player.
I liked him as well. So the next one, Tyler Blackett. He come in at 1.62 apparently £1 million. Success or failure?
I think I would say success, because he's done the job, hasn't he? he went through some really hard times. He had some games which, I remember the one that he got brought on and then hooked off straight away. Which, Stam insisted was nothing to do with his performance, which was laughable to say the least. But I think for such a small fee, I don't know exactly how many games he's played, but it must have been over 100. I'm guessing.
I think so. I haven't really looked into. But
I'll have a quick look.
So for me on that one, I would say failure, because I think the only time he turned up was when his contract started running out. He was Mr. Inconsistent. Where Chris Gunter was very much Mr. Consistent, 6, 7 out of 10 all the time.
It's the nicest thing you've ever said about him. I
know. See, I'm getting wiser. But so he was. I think he was right. Liam Moore, 1.4 million apparently from Leicester. Success or failure?
Success, definitely. 100%.
I agree with that as well. I just checked as well, and Blackett has played 110 games for Reading.
Yeah, I'd say that's not bad going for, was it 1.5 million over a few years?
Yeah, 1.62 million. Yeah. So some of these siders, right? So those were the good siders. Some of these become really weird with what we've done. So this makes me. Roy Berens, 900,000. Success or failure?
I'd say failure, but had the potential to be a success. If he'd stayed another year or so and played how he did at times, then he'd been a success. But
I agree with that.
How long he was here, it's not a success.
He annoyed me, but not in a horrible way. Like he had the play and he had the potential to be probably one of the best wingers in the championship. But he's shooting, just let himself down. So
but then he was played out of position so many times. I think he was an out and out winger, and Yap kept putting him in, like a number 10 or sometimes even a false 9, putting him up front on his own, and it just wasn't working. That wasn't his position. I think he was get me the ball on the feet, hug the touchline, couple of step overs, and
whip it in, or get it in there, or have a shot or something. Yeah. So this one's a weird one. Denzel Gravenberch.
What a success! Purely for there's an interview with Arsene Wenger after we got beaten. I think it was the Carabao Cup at the Emirates, and Denzel Gravenberch came on in the second half and absolutely hammered. I think it was Lucas Perez. Absolutely clattered him.
I remember that game.
Yeah, and I remember speaking to Arsene Wenger after the game, and he was absolutely fuming. So that was the only thing he did for Reading, but it was an entertaining interview. So no,
did I hear as well? He was playing a striker,
wasn't he?
Yeah, but he was playing as a striker.
He's now a striker for the team he plays for.
Yeah.
He plays for FC Dordrecht in Holland, and he plays. He's their number 9.
Yeah, he's the one that he went on LinkedIn, didn't he? Because he doesn't believe in agents, so he put himself on like LinkedIn, trying to find himself just
by knowing that
transfer. Yeah, how that transfer ever went through, I'm not sure who was responsible for it, but definite failure from a financial point of view. But for a comedy value.
Yeah. So talking of comedy value and a success, we have Sandro Weiser, the guy that got brought in as a free, who was tipped to be probably a really, really good midfielder. Never played a game, a first team game. Success, I think.
You can't really call him a failure when it's free, though, can you?
Yeah, you have to consider whatever they were paying. I remember actually after the playoff final, we were down sort of waiting for the players to come out to interview them, and he sort of walked past and he was decked out in like Prada this and Gucci that. I mean, he was probably wearing like £5,000 or £6,000 worth of clothes. I remember looking at him thinking, what have you done to deserve that? Like, I mean, the guy was literally the definition of stealing a living. But where is he now? I don't know where he is.
He's at FC Vaduz.
Oh, yeah.
Playing?
Yeah.
Is he playing for him?
Where did they play? in Liechtenstein they play, and since 2018 he's played 29 games, scoring 3 goals.
So he is playing. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's well worth a watch. It if you haven't, go on YouTube and type in Sandro Weiser tackle. There is a fantastic tackle of him. I think he got in trouble. I think the opposition. I remember reading about it at the time. I think the opposing team actually wanted to file legal action because it's horrific. It's absolutely terrible. But yeah, definitely worth a watch at some point. It's
so
not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah. So the next one is John Swift on a free.
Success.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Massive success. There's no debate about that at all.
No. Next one, Joey Vandenberg. I want to say success.
I really liked him.
Yeah. I want to say success because I like him.
Yeah. No, it was a failure, wasn't it? It didn't work out. He was here for a year. He had a few good games, a few bad ones, and
I've just watched it.
It's a bad one.
That is a bad one.
So Courtney's favourite person to interview, Callum Harriott. Don't know the price or what we brought him for because there's a question mark that was on it, so I don't know.
He was free, wasn't he? I think he was out of contract.
I think so. Was it from Charlton?
Yeah, I think he was out. He was at Charlton. I'm pretty sure he was. I can't remember exactly, but I think he was out of contract.
Didn't Fosu go the other way? Was that part of that deal?
No, because he was out of contract, so I don't think they sold him. I think he went on a free, didn't he?
So Callum Harriott, success or failure?
Failure. Could have been a success if it wasn't for injuries. Because I remember that game against Fulham where in the fog where it got called off at half time. Absolutely rinsed the defender, got a shot away, pulled his hamstring and was out for 2 years.
It's quite a sad story, to be fair. I think where is he now? He's at Colchester, isn't he?
He's gone back there.
He's still playing. Fair play to him, but to go from being a championship footballer to it's a bit of a drop. And yeah, I mean, for the game to be abandoned at halftime anyway, I mean, it was literally the most avoidable injury. So, yes.
So we also have the next one. I don't know whether, but I'm in two minds with this one. Ansi Yakola.
I'd say success. He was free, wasn't he? Or really small.
I think it was a very small fee from Ajax South Cape Town. I think
Cape Town, yeah. No, I'd say success. I think he had a couple of runs inside, and I quite liked him. I thought when he was a good shot stopper, but I think he had the same problem as because it was him and Manoni at the time, wasn't it? That neither of them were particularly good with their feet, and playing the ball out from the back. But no, he was definitely a good shot stopper, and he's gone on to do well. Fair play to him. I think he's just signed a new deal, hasn't he?
Yeah, Bristol Rovers, isn't it? He's at now, so good. Fair play to him. So I think I'm in two minds with him. I think he was a very good.
He was a backup option, wasn't he? He was always a backup. He was never signed to be first team first choice keeper.
But when he come in, he did what he needed to do. I think that was the thing with him is he did quite well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yaku Mate.
Massive success.
Yeah. Huge success. I remember the first time seeing him, you could just tell he was very raw, but you could just tell that there was something there. I think at the time he probably lacked the footballing brain a little bit, and he was a bit of a sort of a loose cannon, just charging up and down. But you could tell that I think the loan spell really helped him when he went to Sochaux.
Definitely.
Regular football and being involved in sort of the first team fold, and he came back and he looked a different player, and he's top scorer last 2 seasons, isn't he?
Yeah, he got 17 this year. It's his highest personal total that he's ever got in professional football. The only thing that lets me down with him is his touch. His first touch, it's just if he got that first touch, he could easily get 20, 25 goals a season. But his first touch always lets him down. It's like, right, come on, please, just come on. You will him. I think you will him on more because he's such a nice person as well. And he's loved by the fans and the fans love him as well. You give him a little bit more patience. I think the word's right.
He's an infectious character. He's a really nice guy as well.
And also, when he came into 1871, I kissed him on the head. Not that he wanted it, but I had to kiss that bald head. So the other one that is an interesting one that come on the same season as him is Joseph Mendes. The guy that scored a penalty against Aston Villa and then scored again.
Scored twice, didn't he?
Scored twice, didn't he?
Yeah,
I think
he didn't score the penalty. We won 3-2, and Graben scored the penalty.
Was he the
We
one
won
who scored the
3-1.
penalty?
Yeah, Graben scored the penalty that game.
Yeah. So, success or failure?
failure.
Yeah.
He's another one like before where it could have been very different. And you can see
he had injury
moments.
problems, didn't he? He had real
Yeah.
bad injury problems. But yeah, I mean, you can tell. I mean, it was only one game, but you don't just suddenly have the ability to do that. So there was obviously something there. But
have you two ever watched that Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix?
Yeah.
Have you seen the episode where he was linked?
Yeah, he was going there.
Yeah,
but obviously they hadn't mentioned the fact that his knee was about to blow up any second.
so then it comes.
Just talking about that, in that same episode, didn't they get a list of transfer targets, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic was on there?
Yeah, that was one.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, Leeds won him now. So now we're going to talk about the loan signings that come in, and we'll talk about them. So the loan signings that come in, I'm going to name all three of them at the same time because they're all the same sort of issue. So we had Jordan Much, Lewis Graben, and Reece Oxford.
I would say Much and Oxford were failures because they didn't really play much, but Graben, I think he was a success considering it was a loan.
No.
He come in and done what he needed to do.
He was
brought in to do a job, and he done it.
Right. So my theory behind this is Jaap Stam brought him in. What did he play him? And where does he play him? Centre midfield.
Yeah.
I don't know what. With me, I think I class that as a failure.
Especially when you have Much, who is a centre midfielder.
Yeah, and he kept bringing Graben on. Graben on come on as a centre mid, and then he come on as a centre defensive mid. At one point, he was a right back as well. I think if there was a hole to fill, I think Jaap Stam just went, "Yeah, you'll do it. He'll do it."
Yeah, I'll try and defend Stam as much as I can, but some of his decisions were really questionable, and
So we're now.
I don't think he got the most out of him. I mean, he's done brilliantly now at Forest. He's
done all right.
He's up there in the top scorers in the league now. Has been for a couple of years.
He didn't help him. Yap didn't help him, and he didn't help himself. I don't think between them two with each other. So then
he's the perfect definition of that thing you keep seeing on Twitter as like when they're playing for your club down here for everyone else up here.
Yeah. He's a bit like
Vidra.
Yeah, he was. So now that was the season we got to the playoffs against Huddersfield and lost, and then this was sort of the Jaap Stams and
farewell.
Yeah, and the signings. I just don't know what was going on. So the first signing was. This is such an easy answer, but go on. Sonny Aluko, 6.75 million, apparently.
Yeah. I remember watching him in that playoff semi-final, and I remember speaking to Anthony, who was a sports editor at the time. I remember saying, "God, that Aluko's a good player. Like he looked a really decent player." And then when they were linked with him, I think I did genuinely think, okay, actually, this is going to be a really good signing based on what I'd previously seen. And I don't know if he's got a twin brother and Reading signed here.
He's got a good sister.
The finances behind that deal, and that was the start of a really difficult time for Reading. Yeah.
So we'll see by the signings of what goes on, of what. Oh, geez, some of them just don't go. What was going on? But I agree with you. When I saw him when he was at Hull, he was at Rangers before, and he used to turn it on and off, and he used to be and then he went to Hull, and he was injury prone there, and he didn't really get much time, and then went to Fulham, and for some reason, I think he had a rocket up his arse or something, but he just sort of just turned it on when he was at Fulham, and then just come to me and went, well, I can't bother now, and just sort of just. I don't know.
The thing is that Reading and Fulham played a very sort of similar style. It was very sort of possession based, and sort of the three at the back, and it just seemed. I remember speaking to Jaap Stam about it, and he wouldn't. We were basically trying to get him to say, are you going to sign Aluko? And he wouldn't go into it, but I think we asked him, "Oh, do you think a player like a Luco would fit?" And he said, "Yeah, someone like a Luco would be the perfect fit." So yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was going to turn out a lot better than it did. He lulled us into one moment of false security when I think it was Paul Clement's first game in charge, when he cut inside on his left foot and ping one in the top corner from 30 yards. And
Was that against
at that
QPR?
point, I think it was against QPR. Yeah, and at that point you thought, okay, maybe he's going to crack on from here, and then before you know it, he's out in China. And yeah, I have no idea where he is now. He's obviously still contracted.
He's gone missing.
So I'm assuming he's still training, but I have no idea.
I don't know. I think he's gone on holiday. I think he's completely disappeared. No one can actually find him. The next one on the list is Vito Mannone, 2.07 million. I think that was from Sunderland when they got relegated. I think was that the season they got relegated for the Premiership or from the Championship? I remember.
From the Premier League. That was.
I think he is a failure, but I mean certainly if that transfer fee is right, but he also had a very big part to play in keeping Reading up that season. I think it was against QPR again, wasn't it, when he saved the penalty?
Saved the 97th minute penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you think of the amount of money that Reading would have lost had they gone down, and Mannone was a big part of keeping them up. So
I think with him, he had
kind of torn on that one. To be fair,
he was split. He was very inconsistent. I think as well with him, that game was epic. I remember that was brilliant. Yeah. And then the Ipswich game, the final home game of the season comes about, and I don't know what I just don't know what went through his brain during that game. But
I don't know what went through any of that. No. That was the worst. I've never seen a team crumble the way that they crumbled, and
never.
Yeah, it was yeah. Shameful.
So. In the same, we also got Mo Barrow from Swansea, the most transfer requested person ever, who always wanted to friggin' leave, for 1.53 apparently million.
I think on the pitch he was a success. Off the pitch he was
massive
difficult,
failure.
But I think on the pitch
if we're going by on pitch, when he wanted to play, he was unstoppable.
He's in the same boat as Mannone.
Yeah, I think there was a personality trait with these signings. I could see that when they wanted to play, they were really well. When they weren't good, they were awful. There was no middle ground with them. And as well as the next one that's come along as well is Leonardo Bacuna.
What do
1.35 million.
We didn't get the best out of him. I liked him. I thought he was a good player. And to be honest, when they sold him, to be fair, I think the fee that they got for him, I thought, okay, fair enough. That's a decent enough fee. But I wouldn't have been too annoyed if he'd stayed. No, I thought he was a good player. I guess he would. Well, I think they made more than they bought him for. So
I think we sold him for about 3.5-4 million. In the end.
Yeah, well, they was to Cardiff in the Premier League when they were in there, wasn't it? And I think the thing that I remember Bacuna most was that whenever he liked to pass it, he used to shoot it at your feet. And it used to be like a torpedo straight at your foot, especially, and you knew when he was going to pass it to Swift because it was a torpedo right at Swift's feet. I used to always remember that. So Dave Edwards as well, coming for 990,000 apparently.
I was trying to think. I thought he was on a free transfer, but maybe not. He didn't do. I think the difficulty was that, again, similarly with the Luco, Edwards had a really good season the year before. I don't know the numbers, but I think he scored like 9 or 10 goals.
Yeah, he got Wolves. He was Wolves. The main instrumental part of Wolves going up. Well, I think, weren't he as well?
And then it's the same thing with Stam. That this is the issue that he had with so many of his players, that he would rotate people and put people in ridiculous positions. Dave Edwards was always number 10. He's been a number 10 throughout his whole career. His career has been based off sort of similar to a Lampard, making sort of late runs into the box and getting on the end of balls, and then Stam then goes and puts him in the sort of the number 4, the quarterback role. He was the first to admit himself that wasn't that wasn't his game. I think overall the transfer was a failure, but I don't think he's
They didn't get
particularly to
help.
blame for that. No.
Did he struggle with injuries as well?
He had a couple of knocks, didn't he? But I don't think it was anything major.
It was nothing major, I don't think, for him to sort of be out for that long. Well, the next one is, is definitely a Yap Stam signing. Pele Clement.
Yeah.
You skipped
Again,
one,
there were glimpses. Yeah, there were glimpses of a player in there. I think it was the pre-season when Paul Clement was in charge. He had a couple of games. You thought, actually,
he looked quite decent there.
Yeah, exactly. I thought, maybe we were wrong. But yeah, no, failure.
Where is he now?
He's at Peck Swaller, isn't he? He went there with Stam, and then Stam left.
Oh, is it?
I don't know if he's moved since then, but he was there.
So the one, while you look for that, Ryan, the next one that we've got, it's the daddy of all daddies, John Daddy Bavarsson.
I'd say it's a success.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he did a job, and again, it's just such a nice bloke. So it's difficult to criticise him really, but no, I think he did his job. I don't think he was never going to get you 20, 25 goals a season, but
he did what he needed to do.
He was a workhorse, and he's one of those. I saw someone say something about it the other day, but he would always give 110% no matter what. He would run and run and run. I think as a footballer, you almost get, you can not have the best game, but I think if fans can see that you've given it absolutely everything, you almost get that bit of leeway, and I think he definitely had that. So no, I'd say it's a success.
He is still at Zwol.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So the two loan signings, I think they were under Yap. I'm not 100% sure. Was Chris Martin and Tommy Elphick.
That was Paul Clement.
Was that Paul Clement? And Tommy Elphick was Clement, if I was right as well. Coming to the end, I can't remember. But Tommy, so they were both failures. There's no talk about that. Tommy Elphick come on and then got injured, didn't he? And then then he was out again.
But they both had injury problems, didn't they? Because Martin, he had some sort of illness, didn't he? That it didn't come out until a year or so later.
It's called and eat too many McDonald's, I think. I said someone put in the chat yesterday. We have like this group chat on Twitter, and someone went, "Oh, we're linked with him. He could do a job." I said, if you really wanted someone fat, overweight, who wanted to do a striker, could be on cheap wages, might as well sign me up to go up front. I'm telling you, I'll be a lot cheaper than what he would have. I'm telling you. So then we talk on to the 2018 and 2019 season, where things start getting. You can see whose signings were at the start, and then you can definitely see what happened when it started getting good. So the very first sign at the start of that season was Sam Baldock. I don't think he was the very first, but he was signing at the start for 3.51 million. We're going to talk a little bit more about Baldock just after this as well, because I want to get your take on interviews, how they're conducted afterwards, and just get a little bit. Actually, we'll do that now. So 3.51 million, success or not?
Hey, no, he hasn't. I don't know if that fee is quite correct, but it was a significant fee. And again, I do feel bad for Sam Baldock at times, because similarly to what I was saying earlier on about McNulty, he's never really been given a consistent run of games. He starts a couple of games and he's dropped, and then he comes off the bench for a couple of games, and
I got this spreadsheet of Sam Baldock I used on the pod on Friday, but I'll let you know. In 27 appearances, he started for Reading, and 18 he's come off the bench. He's scored 10 goals. He's played 2 games in the FA Cup, 1 started, 1 off the bench. He's got 1 goal. League Cup, he started once, come off the bench 3 times, and has got no goals. So in 51 appearances for the club altogether, he's only got 11 goals.
Yeah, I mean, for the fee that was quoted there, if that is the right fee, then I don't think anyone could justify that as a success, to be honest.
No, and then you've got, we were discussing him. So let's talk a little bit. We'll carry on with this list in a minute with the post-match interviews. So what sort of goes into a post-match interview, and how did he get away? Not get away. How would you have seen that happen? with the interview process. So what happens for the post-match interviews, so the viewers can know what you have to go through to get an interview with them?
You go down to, there's an area in the stadium called the mix zone. It's where the journalists sort of congregate, and the players will come out, and it's changed now. It used to be that you could sort of just grab a player as they walk past, but I think football and football media has changed quite a lot, and I think clubs and now sort of keep a lot more control over what isn't said. So they'll usually nominate a player, and then they'll obviously send out a club representative to go and stand by them and make sure that they don't say anything untoward or not.
So have you interviewed Bulldog before?
Yeah, plenty of times.
So what is he like?
Nice. He's a nice guy. He's really well spoken, which is, I wouldn't say rare for a footballer, but no, he comes across sort of very, very well spoken, sort of almost well-to-do kind of. Yeah, nice guy. He's a man of few words. He doesn't give away a lot. No.
Until that interview.
In my experience, he's always been a man of few words. When I heard that interview, I was really surprised. That was definitely the most I've ever heard him talk. He usually gives very short answers.
So with an interview, what I know with Formula One is that there's always someone next to the driver. When they go up and do a podium, and they always have a dictaphone that they always sit there and they just record what they say during the whole thing and then give it to the team leader to see what they said. Is that the same that happens in football?
No.
So when they give you a player, do they just leave you alone with that player to let the player just talk?
No, they'll usually be in the vicinity, but no, they won't tell them sort of what they can. Can't say. I mean, they probably do. I don't know, but I'm assuming beforehand they'll probably brief them. Okay, this is probably what they're going to ask you. Don't talk about this. But
so how did he get? So how, with your experience of what you've seen during it as well, what do you think triggered Bulldog to do what he did, or what do you think happened for him to get to that where he did it?
I think, to be fair, the stuff that he was saying, you can't disagree with. I mean, he just told the truth. And I think I've seen a lot of people saying, it was disrespectful to the club. But if that is what's going on behind the scenes, and he has no reason to lie about it, then I actually sort of respect him in a way, and think actually, do you know what, fair play for coming out and saying, giving us the situation as it is. He probably didn't make many. I know he apparently had a suspicious injury the following week, didn't he?
Yeah,
I don't think
he was back.
Yeah, I don't think he made any friends with that interview. But no, I think fair play to him for.
He got a back injury from when Bowen punched him.
He had a black eye, more like. Because I know, Ryan, with you as well. You want to see him more? Didn't you say you want to give him more of a chance next season?
Yeah, I've always liked Bulldog, to be honest, since we signed him. I mention it quite a lot, but there was a moment against Cardiff away in the league. We had 2 players down injured, and he went in for a tackle. Honestly, not even exaggerating. It was 5 seconds after the ball had gone away, just to get the ref to stop the game, so we weren't outnumbered. And
he's a clever player. He's a football player. Bulldog. He's clever. He definitely understands the game really well.
Do you think next season he's going to get more of a chance with Puskas, or do you think he's still going to be in the same? Because I know I don't know whether you've heard any more. We've also been linked with Pedro Mendes.
That one's been rumbling on for a while. I can't see it happening. If it does happen, I think it'll be a loan. And
so this is sort of question I would like to ask as well, because you're here. I hear a lot of journalists say it's agent talk or it's club talk. How do you know what the difference is between them to how you know with the player? Is there a certain wording? Is it a certain link?
Yeah, you use your nose. I think it's not really something I can explain. It's sort of something you learn over time. But yeah, there's a lot of agent talk in football. I mean,
that South Africa one.
Yeah, that sounded like it. But I can't really explain how it's just you just have that sort of.
You just
It's
know
almost
by
like
the
a
gut.
it's almost like a gut feeling. Yeah, it is. Sometimes it is literally just a gut feeling. Like actually, no, that doesn't quite sound right. But you usually know, what a club needs or what a club's after. So if your club's got 6 central defenders and 1 striker, and then a link comes out saying that that they're going after a centre back, you kind of you have a suspicion there straight away. So it is just a gut feeling most of the time.
Cool. So let's carry on with the signings that we've got here then. So we've got I'm gonna name them 2 at a time now because I can see it. David Myler and Sam Walker.
Myler was obviously a failure, and Walker again. He's fair. He hasn't really played many games, has he? But
when Walker's played, he's done well.
I'd go as far as saying he's a success, to be honest, because he's done well when he's been called upon.
Yeah, he's done a job.
And it was a free transfer as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then we had FIFA Boy, who then was didn't do very well. But then we had Andy Yidam. That's a massive success on a free.
And that's the kind of player I've always said. That's the kind of person that Reading need to sign me.
And that's a player we've been crying out for as well.
I mean, they'd been looking at him for ages, and they'd actually tried to get him in the summer, but I think similarly with what's just happened with Josh Laurent, obviously they knew that his contract was running out and knew they could probably get him on a free. And he's terrific, isn't he? He's another man of few words, but he's a great player and he's been fantastic at Reading.
And then we've got John O'Shea.
That's a difficult one to say, but I'd call it a success because he wasn't bought in to play, was he?
No.
He was brought in to now do what he's doing now, and I think he's been a success in that sense.
What I see,
I can go with that.
Yeah, I would go with that. But then I don't know whether you know any more of this, but I saw the other day that Scott Marshall might have been released of his duties from the under-23s as manager. So could he be the one taking over?
I don't think so. I think his focus is more on coaching and eventually going to management. Yeah.
Boehm look at him highly then of one of his coaching staff.
Yeah, he's on the team. Yeah.
Perfect. So then we have the absolute masterclass of Kia.
Hang on. I think we should do this differently. We should just do one loan before any others, and we should say Josh Sims before the other 5. Because I think it's a bit different.
You know, I said earlier that Chris Martin was a player who I didn't like in a Reading shirt. I think that was one of my ones. I think Josh Sims is a very close second. He was the most frustrating player I think I've ever seen in a Reading shirt. He had the pace, he had the potential, but the boy couldn't do it.
He was also like he was Shawnee Aluko Mark II, wasn't he? He wasn't. Like you said, they came with a lot of promise, and I think at the time when they signed him, there was a lot of hype about him, but no, he didn't live up to any sort of expectation. And where is he now? He's in the MLS, isn't he? Or the last time I heard, he was in the MLS.
Yeah, I just looked, and he's on loan at New York Red Bulls.
Yeah,
but he's still at Southampton.
No, okay. At least he's getting. Is he playing?
He's played 9 games, but this loan spell has gone 2019/20. So
okay. They have their weird ass season, so it's fine. So then let's talk. So, okay. So we all know these were a success, but I want to know who you think has been the most successful and the one that you would put at successful, but at the bottom of the successful. So we've got Egeria, Oliveira, Maziga, Baker, and we got Martinez. Who was the most successful out of all of them?
Of those players that came in on loan?
Yep.
I think, was Mayaska on the list?
Yeah.
I think he's... I don't know.
Are we basing this only on that season? Because you could extend it for a Ajaria and Miasma, obviously.
That's
coming
what I
back.
was thinking. It was going to be between those two.
So if we just base it on that season,
just that season.
we'll just base it on that one because they're on the next list anyway. With that,
I think Oliveira was the biggest success, only because he just gave
Fans loved him.
he gave the place a lift. I think
Yeah.
the fans had felt so sort of dejected for so long, and then he was one of those players that they were linked with every single transfer window, and people, it was always like, oh, is he going to come? Is he going to come? And I think they finally got him, and he did just give that
goal,
it a lift.
That goal
The
against
Ipswich one.
Is it Ipswich? Oh, no, Blackburn.
Ipswich.
Ipswich was a good one, but the Blackburn one, where it was really long ball out from the defence, and he was literally on his own, and he turned two players and rifled it into the top corner. I can still picture it now because I turned around to the guys. I don't think my brother was at that game, but I remember I turned around and went, after that goal, I think I rung him after the game. I said, if we had any other striker that we've had before on that pitch, they wouldn't have done what he did.
He was brilliant. He was brilliant.
I would have
you
him
could just see he was so fast to react to the game. Wasn't he?
If he was available now and we had the opportunity, I would tell Brennan to sign him now, easily, anytime. I think
he's a good player.
I loved him. So who was the least successful? Not the
out
least out of those ones.
Oh, God, that's hard because they're all successful. I think.
I'm trying to look at this and I'm trying to think as well.
If you ask me, I would probably have to go with Baker, just because.
Yeah, I think Baker. I agree.
Say the way I'd word it is he was the least noticeable on the pitch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I agree.
Emmy was a massive impact and changed games, and it was the same with everyone else. Whereas Baker had that role, it was a very underappreciated role.
He was a good player, Lewis Baker.
Yeah,
good.
I'd love to have him back. I'd love to have him back.
He played that role really well. But yeah, I think out of those, what Ryan said is right. I think Emmy made a huge impact, and it was very noticeable.
You could see
have a big lift.
Yeah, and
Ajaria, had the footwork. So yeah, no, I think I would say Baker, but taking nothing away from what he did because he did brilliantly.
Just while we're on it, we should mention how good of a window that was. How often do you see 5 players come in and 5 players be a success?
I don't think I've
not
ever
very often at Reading.
No, definitely not.
I don't think I've ever experienced a window where I don't think I can name a club apart from who's brought in 5 or 6 players and they've hit the ground running. I can't think of.
And credit to them for doing that, because that is it. Getting loan players in is a risk because you don't know how they're going to fit in.
Well, it failed 4 years before, didn't it? With the likes of Vidra. Who else was there? Vidra.
Piazon was there.
Yeah, Piazon. Ola John.
Ola John, yeah.
God,
it's a risky tactic, but if you get it right, it pays off. And
so then we're talking about. So now we're going on to last season, which is now finished, but this season was finished. So the very but noticeable George Puskas come in for apparently 7.2 million, according to that website. Success or failure?
Success.
Yeah. Ryan, agree with that?
Yeah, agree with that, yeah.
Perfect. Lucas Jow, 4.86 apparently million. Success or failure?
Success.
I think he's a difficult one because he's obviously struggled with injuries.
Yeah, I think there's more to come for him. There's definitely more to come from him.
Agreed.
But I think injuries are difficult, but I think if you look at the minutes he spent on the pitch and the return that he's given, I'd say he's a success.
So next one's a little bit difficult for me. Charlie Adam. I think he was a success over Christmas, but that was about it.
You don't know what.
I don't know what he did behind closed doors.
Off the pitch as well. I think he came with a lot of experience, and I know sort of young player that I've spoken to at Reading always speak really highly of him, and sort of really valued having his experience around. So I mean, he was a free transfer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
They didn't pay for him, so
No.
Again, he did a job, didn't he? I'd say he was a success, to be honest.
So
I agree with that.
this one's a little bit easier because he was just voted Player of the Season, Raphael. What a man!
Not only is that like great business, that I would go as far as saying him and Michael Morrison are two of the best transfers we've made in the last 5 to 10 years.
I mean, Morrison, like I said, I think I actually put this on social media a while ago. For me, that is possibly the most underrated bit of transfer business that Reading have done in the last 5 years. Him on a free is magnificent. He's just a brick wall. He's been brilliant. But Raphael, I think the fact that when he came, he didn't speak any English, and then we saw his interview last week when he all of a sudden spoke better English than I do. But that, I think that just sums him up. He's just such a nice guy. He's a great character. He's a great goalkeeper. He's made some terrific saves. And the only thing I wish is that we'd have a season where a goalkeeper didn't win Player of the Season.
Yeah.
To be fair,
that tends to be the mark of a failing team.
To be fair, no one else really turns up.
No. I remember after a game a couple of months ago, like around Christmas time, me, my brother, and my nephew were walking back to the car, and we were walking and talking to Raphael, and he's just such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's really pleasant.
The stuff he said to my nephew as well. Like my nephew's 7 now, I think. But he's like telling him the right work ethic, work hard, and it will come for you. And it just shows he is an awesome bloke.
Yeah, great guy.
I think, and then we've got Pele on loan. Would you say he had his time was? He had very much ups and downs. He had very much Mark Bowen very much picked him out, not being very well, and then picked him up for being a bit overweight. I think during lockdown as well, which is understandable because I definitely put on the pounds during lockdown.
Yeah, I did.
So, what would you say he did good? Or?
Sometimes. Yeah,
he was
sometimes
on and off.
He didn't. I think I'm not sure if I can really say he was a success or a failure. He kind of just. I think he was. I don't think he did anything so catastrophic that you could say he was a failure. So no, I think he probably was a success, but I don't think we'll be seeing him in a Reading shirt again.
No, I think he's definitely gone. But I think he's gone back to Monaco. Where I think he'll be going now. And then we've got Egeria, which we all know is success because this club is still trying to keep him. Next one's a bit of a weird one for me because I wouldn't class this guy as success, and I definitely wouldn't class this as a failure. I'd class this as needs time. Felipe
Aruna. Hoffman.
Felipe,
I'm going to call him.
I'd say it's a definite failure for the money that they paid for him, and I think we've seen.
Wasn't it a free?
No, I think they. No, I don't think so. I think they paid for him.
There's multiple things I looked up on this. I saw one place saying it was a free, but there's a 40% sell-on fee.
Yeah,
if it happens in the future.
There's definitely some sort of
agreement.
Not dodgy deal, but there's some sort of whatever
was
the term is.
Was that anything to do with Kia, that signing? Because that does say something.
Quite possibly.
But wasn't it to do with that sporting director that we were trying to get in from Brazil?
What was it? Matos was his name. Alexander Matos, who was coming, but then didn't come. But he was linking every Brazilian player possible.
Every wonder kid that's ever happened in Brazil was getting linked with us.
Hopefully, he's like same as Raphael, really, really nice lad. Hopefully he does come good. When he came on the first game he came on, he came into midfield, and I thought, he came on at right back, and he looked good, and I thought, okay, actually, he looks all right. And then he played in midfield and just looked really lost. But new league, new culture,
He's new everything for him, wasn't it? Yeah. And I think he needs time. And I'm going to switch it up with the way I wrote it down. We've got, I'm going to get his name wrong. I do apologise for any listeners that are young, but Virginia, he was something else, wasn't he?
Terrible.
He was
Absolutely
awful.
terrible.
I can't think of many worse keepers I've seen in Reading shirt.
Well, in the Reading shirt, yeah, but you could say at the end of the season, De Gea could have given him his run for his money. But we've got Tim Bay as well, but he was very much never got enough time, I don't think, on the pitch.
So I thought he looked like a competition winner. I really did. I just thought every time I saw him play, I just thought, what? Yeah, it was a strange signing. I don't.
Really weird. I think he had the pace, and he had something in there that we needed. That was like the Mo Burrow type of player. But
But you need the abilities to go with it. That's the problem.
And then we got Matt Miazga this season.
I'd say it was a success. Definitely. I think when he's I mean, you look at, I think it was Bowen's first game, the 97th minute winner. He gave it everything when he was on the pitch. He was a leader. I was quite impressed with his leadership actually for a young player. He was often sort of barking instructions. And
captain, wasn't he?
Yeah,
in a game.
For a couple.
I think I got to say it's a credit to Morrison, the fact that he's not got the game time. Because if we didn't have Morrison, he would have been regular starter.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the fact that Moore and Morrison, especially over Christmas, kept him out of the team.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And then the last one on the list I've got here is Lucas Boy, where everyone on Instagram, whenever the players was always
the tank, whatever he was.
Everyone said that he was the best player in training.
You have to say massive failure for him.
Yeah.
But it's another one of them where it could have been so different.
So
For me, I would like to see him stay.
Why are the players saying that he was probably the potential of being the best player at the club, but never got any game time?
He was injured.
He had injury problems, didn't he? But
then he had COVID.
Yeah, and then that. Yeah, I think fitness was a big problem for him. But I have to say, when I did see him play, I didn't really. I didn't think he was.
He had that good game against Blackpool, wasn't it?
Yeah,
was it Blackpool.
Yeah, I thought he looked really good against Blackpool.
But that is Blackpool. No offense.
It's a step below, isn't it? So.
But you're League Two, I think. So
League One.
Oh, they're League One. Oh, they
League
actually
One,
did.
yeah.
They did. So that's all right. So I know that Ryan. I don't know if you're okay for time or if you.
I'm gonna have to go pretty soon.
Just before we finish, and what we'll do next week is we'll definitely go into the finances because I think that's more interesting side that we'll get into next week. But I just want to get I want to do a shout out, and I know I said I was going to do this a lot earlier, but there's the guy that I want to do a shout out to. His name was Ed Harris, and his Twitter page is at MadstadMetrics. And basically, what he's done is he's done something very, very clever, and which helps me out a lot. Is he put loads of pictures, a comparison to Josh Laurent. Is that how you say it? Please tell me that's how you say it. Perfect. And what he's done is he's put a comparison to the midfield that we had this season to where he would fit in and how he would sort of play. And what we could sort of see is his attacking run was the least out of all of the players we had. He was very much below average. He was way below Lucas Boy, way below John Swift. Charlie Adam was at the top with attacking run that would get into the box. So he was very much down the bottom. But what sort of these next stats took me by surprise. He was second, just behind John Swift, in the middle of each area for most shots in midfield, in the midfield area. And he had very much more shots than McCleary, Adams, Elise, and Pele as well. Passing, he was very much down below as well. Charlie Adam, as we all could probably tell, was right at the top by a mile. Yeah. He was right at the top. And he was Felipe. He did more than Laurent did as well. So that's quite a surprising stat on there as well. But the one that I think Bowen looked at the most, I don't know if he looked at these stats, but I think Bowen looked at the most, was his defensive. He was way above Reno, Felipe, Pepe. He was way ahead. So it looks like he's very much, he likes to get into tackles. He likes to get in there and get forward. He doesn't like to pass the ball, apparently. He likes just to give it to someone and let someone else do it. He loves to have a shot in midfield as well. And he doesn't make that. So he likes to have a 40-yard screamer. And like it doesn't like to run much. So he's sort of, from the statistics, he seems to be very much a CDM. From the statistics I can see, he's very way above Pele, who played in that position, way above him in all of the stats. So where do you see? And I don't know whether you've had chance to talk to him since he signed, or if you'll get.
I haven't spoken to him. I've spoken to people about him. From what I've heard, he's
so what? Where do
a
you
good player.
Where do you think he fits in Bowen's plans?
Box to box. I think.
Yeah.
I think Rinamoto would be the one who's sort of sat further deeper. I think he'll be the one driving forward. From what I've heard about him, he's very powerful. He's when he's on the ball, he's a real brute force. So yeah, I can sort of see him making those darting runs forward.
Could you see him in the same team as Rinamoto? Because the way I saw it would be like an opportunity if we did keep Swift and Ajaria, him and Rinamoto playing the same kind of role in a like rotation system.
Yeah, or you're now guessing of what the system's going to be, but you could almost have, with those 4 players, you could have them in a diamond. You could have Swift sitting slightly deeper, Rinamoto and Laurent in the middle, and Ajaria in the number 10. That's an option. Yeah, I can see them both playing in the city. I think Rinamoto is, more defensive minded. He loves getting back, doesn't he? He loves getting back, putting a tackle in, chasing the ball down. I think they have similar sort of game styles, and they're very energetic. So yeah, it'll certainly be interesting to see how he does accommodate them both, or if it's like you said, he plays one or the other.
I think it'd be very interesting. I think we had a discussion about this, Ryan. Me and you had a discussion about this, and for me, I would love. I don't know whether this is me being very defensive, but I would love them to bring in a CDM. Because I'm presuming Swift's gone. I'm also presuming Ijaria's not going to sign, just because if the worst happens, that's what's going to happen. And I can see Reno and Laurent in the centre midfield together, and then we have someone that will just sit there, because I feel like what I've seen and what I've heard is Laurent is a Danny Williams type of player, likes to go backwards and forwards.
From what I've heard, that is literally what he is. He is Danny Williams.
And I don't know whether you two will agree with this, but since Danny Williams has gone, we've missed a player like that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
He was so good. He was so good at Reading, and that
he annoyed me.
Player final just showed you how good he was, and
exactly.
He was a huge miss, a huge miss.
I loved Danny Williams, but he was one of those players that I think I loved him more. Not when he nearly had a fight with Paul McShane. I think it was at Middlesbrough, wasn't it? And then he nearly had a.
Brian McDermott didn't see it.
Yeah.
No, it was Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
And, no, Blackburn's the one where he didn't he break the ball. He hit it so hard that he burst the ball. I think that was.
Yeah.
He has so much, and I think the word and I understand what he did was when he left and go to Huddersfield. I get it, because he wanted to go and play Premier League football. I understand it. But it didn't help him. He's now playing in Cyprus.
With Dennis Rackles.
And them two.
I don't think he is.
Is he?
I think he got released, didn't he? I think he got released.
If he's available, Reading, please.
I don't think he's got a club. He's just done a clothing brand, hasn't he? It's called Beautiful Struggles or something. No, I don't think he's playing for anyone at the moment.
Right, Reading, if you're watching this, please get him back. Oh, I've typed in Danny Williams and I got a boxer. I'll tell you what, I've got to see if you guys can see this picture, right? But
I've got it in front of me.
The face, I don't know whether you can see, right? He definitely looks like he's just had a really bad fight. But
he's left Paphos.
Is he left? So he's on a free. So Reading, if you're watching this, we need a backup. he would be perfect to have back.
They could do worse. They could
Exactly.
definitely do worse. Although,
So-
I'd never go
I'm
back
going
for
to
me,
have to
but
go.
no, he could do worse.
So yeah, so that will. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about the finances. I know Ryan has found this brilliant article, which we will then condense down and go into together and go through next week. And we will definitely go into it a little bit more. We will be keeping up to date with transfers as well. Instead of bugging Mr. Friday all the time, asking the same questions, please just tweet me. And what we will do is we will combine all the questions you've got. If he has enough time to answer them Twitter, he will. If he hasn't, then we will ask him for you, and then he has no choice but to answer them. So if he doesn't answer you, that's because he's doing 1,000,001 things, but come to us, we will definitely help you guys out. Don't forget, starting next week, we will be doing our version of women's football. The fixtures come out this Friday for the start of the Women's League. There is a lot of hype around Reading. I know that because they've just signed an ex-Chelsea midfielder who was highly tipped as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, who got on a free. So there's a lot of hype around Reading this season for going up a little. They're always finished around about third or fourth with Reading. So let's hope they go a little bit further. But we're going to go to talk women's football. We're going to get women's footballers guests on as well, former, current. We want to do more for the women's game. I can't do anything like money-wise, but we want to promote it. We want to get women's football at the same. We want to talk to it the same amount as we talk about Reading men's. And hopefully we have a lot more positive things to say about women, because the men's just needs to change. But thank you ever so much for everyone joining. Thank you ever so much, Courtney, for coming on again. You are an absolute diamond, and thank you ever so much. Thank you ever so much, Ryan, for showing your beautiful face. We all love looking at that.
It's not the word I would say.
No, it's not the word I say off camera either, but I'm doing it nice to you. Yeah. But thank you ever so much for joining. Look out on Twitter. We are on TikTok as well, and I am doing more stuff on there, I promise. Personally, on my personal account, I just got over 2,100 followers. So look at me. I am getting famous, and the fame is going to my head. But thank you ever so much for joining. We look forward to seeing you Friday, where we don't have a guest, but we have a game. That's all I'm going to say. Me and Ryan are going one-on-one at a game that I am going to smash him at, because I am the best. Hurrah.
It's easy when you make the rules.
It is. I make it all about myself, so it's easy. So we see you guys Friday for the special guest, and we will see you, and nearer the time as well, when we release the very first women's pod, and it will be different. We won't do a different format, but we will go into depths on each team, get a bit more understanding and get a bit more knowledge of the game as well. And hopefully when we do this pod, an actual English women's team can beat Lyon women's. Because did anyone see their Champions League final against Barcelona? I think they won 7-1 against Barcelona. Just ridiculous. So yes. So thank you guys ever so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you, and thank you ever so much, Courtney, again. Hopefully he will be on next week. Hopefully, if he hasn't got annoyed at us yet. And we will see you guys soon. Have a lovely day and have a lovely week.